There's something called extended producer responsibility, and it's basically, it is a tax. I know people don't love that word, but it taxes plastic producers and companies that are very dependent on plastic packaging. So like a Coca-Cola, for example, and they basically tax them and use that money to subsidize the recycling, the waste management stream, the plastic waste management stream. So from collection to sorting to recycling, which is fantastic. It's basically making people who are responsible, people who are using it to be responsible for the entire life cycle of plastics. And I think that's where we get into,
Amazing.
I think that's amazing. And in general, with the climate crisis, when we think about consumption and materialism, where we get lost is that people who are producing do not think about the entire life cycle of that product, But EPR is pretty powerful. Unfortunately, it's not in every country. There has been a movement to push for global EPR, a voluntary standard, and we were actually piloting the very first global plastics. It's a plastic credit, essentially. But what's
because I missed, what does the EPR stand for?
Extended producer responsibility. And
Okay.
so the downside of that is it's only it's only within like specific countries, and it's only country specific. So if it was in Spain, then you would only be taxing Spanish companies, and you would be subsidizing Spanish companies. But the thing is that Coca-Cola, for example, produces all over the world. So yeah, they have an EPR tax in the EU, but they don't have one in Myanmar where they are producing, right?
Wow.
And these are the places that really need more support because they just don't have the financing available to them to establish collection and establish recycling. So it's pretty powerful. It's in the beginning stages. I mean, there are a lot of kinks to work out for sure. It's not the end all be all, but as I said, it's really important for global brands. I think it's a voluntary credit, but if they could all get on board, I think it could be a really powerful tool to be able to finance projects that, like you said, banks don't want to touch, that investors feel are too risky because these low-income countries are maybe a bit more unstable.
Right. Well, I definitely will hold my breath to wait for corporations to volunteer to be on these things. I think governments and consumers have to either force mandates or legislate.
Yeah.
And